But in view of these, it is not difficult to dissolve the presupposed reasons by which poverty is attacked. For although there is a natural desire in man to gather together the things which are necessary for life, as the first reason proposed, yet it is not in such a way that it is necessary for anyone to occupy himself with this work. For among the bees they are not all occupied with the same duty, but some gather honey, some build houses of wax. Even kings are not occupied with these works, and in the same way it must be in men. For since there are many things necessary to man's life, for which one man could not be sufficient by himself, it is necessary that different things should be done by different people. For example, that some should be farmers, some keepers of animals, some builders, and so on. And since the life of men needs not only corporeal things, but more spiritual things, it is also necessary that some should occupy themselves with spiritual things, for the betterment of others, who must be freed from temporal cares. Thus it is clear that those who leave temporal things do not take away the maintenance of life. As the second reason proceeded, for there remains to them the probable hope of supporting their life, either from their own labor, or from the benefactions of others, whether they receive them in common possessions, or in their daily subsistence. For just as what we can do through friends, we do in some way through ourselves. As the philosopher says, so also what is possessed by friends is in some way possessed by us. But it is necessary that there should be friendship between men to one another, according as they serve one another, either in spiritual or earthly duties. Now it is greater to help another in spiritual things than in temporal things, inasmuch as spiritual things are more important than temporal things, and are more necessary to the attainment of the end of happiness. Hence he who deprives himself of the ability to help others in temporal things through voluntary poverty in order to acquire spiritual things, by which he can more usefully help others, does not act against the good of human society. As the third reason concluded. Now it is clear from what has been said that riches are a certain good of man, inasmuch as they are directed to the good of reason, but not in themselves. Wherefore there is nothing to prevent poverty from being better, if by this means one is ordered to a more perfect good. And so the fourth reason is resolved. And since neither riches, nor poverty, nor anything external is in itself the good of man, but only insofar as they are directed to the good of reason, nothing prevents any vice from arising from any of them, when they do not come to the use of man according to the rule of reason. And yet it is not for this reason that they are simply evil to be judged, but their evil use. And so neither is poverty to be rejected on account of certain vices, which occasionally proceed from it, as the fifth reason endeavored to show. From this also it must be considered that the mean of virtue is not taken according to the quantity of external things which come into use, but according to the rule of reason. Hence it sometimes happens that that which is the extreme according to the quantity of the external thing is according to the rule of reason the mean, for there is no one who strives for greater things than the magnanimous, or who in expenses surpasses the great in size. Therefore they hold the mean, not by the amount of the cost, or anything like that, but insofar as they do not transcend the rule of reason, nor fall short of it. This rule not only measures the amount of the thing that comes into use, but the condition of the person and his intention, the appropriateness of the place and time, and other such things as are required in acts of virtue. No one, therefore, through voluntary poverty, is contrary to virtue, although he has forsaken everything. Nor does he do this lavishly. When he does this with due end, and other due conditions being observed. For it is more to expose oneself to death, when yet one works by virtue of fortitude, preserving the due circumstances, than to leave all one's own to the due end. And so the sixth reason is resolved. But what is inferred from the words of Solomon is not contrary, for it is clear that he speaks of forced poverty, which is usually an occasion for stealing.